Hey everyone, welcome to StorybookGolf.com, where we talk and nerd out on golf. Today we're answering an all too often believed myth that the best players of the past couldn't hold their own against the best players of today. Like this Golf Digest article saying Tiger Woods was better than Jack Nicklaus, which, of course, is a fine opinion to hold. Tiger may have been better than Jack, but it's the explanation that bothers me. I was expecting, facts, reasoning, something. This is Golf Digest. Instead, all we get is Jack has more majors, Tiger has more wins, and this piece of scholarship. I'll paraphrase. Tiger played in a time of deeper fields and against golfers who didn't hit the bar after every round. And that's it. Golf Digest gives us no other reason in this article. Using Golf Digest logic, you could say that Ernie Els is better than Bobby Jones too. Els has 10 more PGA wins and only 3 less majors, so he's better, right? Look, I'm not doing another Tiger vs. Jack video. Rather, Golf Digest unintentionally touches on a much deeper issue here. People tend to forget or not realize how good past champions were. And so that leads us to this question. Did the legends of golf build their names on small field sizes and inebriated players like the article suggests? Or could the old-timers actually play? To find out, we'll look at elite golfers over the past 100 years to see what happened when the best players of each era crossed paths in major championships. And who knows, maybe Golf Digest is right, and most golfers back in the day were just okay, and competing against a bunch of substance abusers, like the article suggests. That's why Tiger's better than Jack. There sure hasn't been any substance abuse in this era, and definitely not amongst the best players. And on that note, let's dive into these matchups. Going back 100 years, the best golfers of the 20s and 30s were Walter Hagen, Bobby Jones, and Gene Sarazen. But before them, the best were in Europe. Legends like J.H. Taylor, James Braid, and Harry Vardon dominated the sport. The great triumvirate was so good that one of them won in 17 of the 23 majors they competed in leading up to World War I. And even more remarkable is that at least one of them was the runner-up in all 6 of the majors they did not win. Harry Vardon was the best of the 3 and is the only one who competed in the 1920 U.S. Open, which was the first major championship appearance of Bobby Jones and Gene Sarazen. Despite being 50 years of age, Vardon finished in second place ahead of them both and would go on to beat Jones again at the 1921 Open Championship and Sarazen in the 1924 Open. And if that weren't enough, or you think Jones and Sarazen were just too young, then look at the 2-time U.S. Open champion in the field, Walter Hagen. He was the defending champion at the 1920 U.S. Open and would go on to win double-digit majors, but not in 1920. The 50-year-old Vardon finished 5 strokes ahead of him at the U.S. Open and threw him an 11-stroke beating at the Open Championship. I'm not saying Vardon's better, but the man born in 1870 was out there competing with Bobby Jones and Walter Hagen like he was Captain Randolph Juna. Clearly, there was not an exponential jump in talent between these eras. Now fast forward 20 years to the 1940 U.S. Open, where Ben Hogan, Sam Snead, and Byron Nelson have each reached the prime of their careers, and Walter Hagen is now an 11-time major champion, while Bobby Jones and Gene Sarazen have 7 majors each. Though the people of 1940 would likely consider Jones a 13-time major champion, Hagen 6, and Sarazen a 3-time major champ. But that's another video for another day. Now, Jones and Hagen played very little into the next era, so we're just going to focus on Sarazen instead. And like Vardon, Sarazen showed the youngsters how it's done, finishing second at the 1940 U.S. Open, ahead of Hogan, Snead, and Nelson. And if 38 isn't old enough, look no further than the 1947 PGA Championship, when Sarazen faced off with Sam Snead in match play and personally knocked him out of the tournament. You heard right. A 45-year-old Gene Sarazen, who was far less dominant than both Jones and Hagen, bested a prime Sam Snead and outlasted Ben Hogan. Once again, the older generation of greats could adapt, compete, and beat the best in their prime, despite their old age. Jump to the 1960s, and our last generation of all-time greats has done all their winning. Snead finished with a record 82 PGA wins and 7 majors, while Nelson retired at just 34 years of age and finished with 5 majors and 52 PGA wins. And Hogan, whom many consider to be the GOAT, capped off his career with 64 PGA wins and 9 major championships, though some might say 10. Again, another video for another day. And just like the previous all-time greats, the olds were competitive with the young guns, who we know today as the Big Three: Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, and Jack Nicklaus. Hogan and Snead each have a long list of triumphs over the Big Three in major championships, but here are a few quick facts showing their ability to adapt and compete against the next generation. We'll start with Hogan, who beat Arnold Palmer in 5 of his first 6 appearances in the US Open. And the reason he wasn't 6 for 6 is because Hogan didn't play in the 1957 US Open. And it's not like Hogan was just out there beating up on Arnold Palmer. He also beat a prime Jack Nicklaus in his final Masters appearance at 55 years of age. And most amazing of all, the Senior Tour eligible Ben Hogan was 4-4 in his final 8 major championship appearances against Gary Player, who was only 28 to 31 years of age at the time. Unlike Hogan and really anyone else, Snead was a model of longevity. Remember how impressed we all were when 63-year-old Bernard Langer threw Bryson a beating to remember in the 2020 Masters? Well, Snead made a cut in a major championship at 65 and then again at 67, finishing ahead of both Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer in the 1979 PGA Championship. And I'm not saying Longer's not good, he's amazing, but Snead was ridiculous. For reference, here's a look at Longer's career in majors from age 50 to 63, and here's Sam Snead. The man finished top 3 in 3 straight PGA championships at age 60, 61, and 62, culminating in a T3 at the 1974 PGA Championship behind only Hall of Famers Lee Trevino and Jack Nicklaus. By the 1980s, the same big three who caught consistent L's from Hogan and Snead went on to do this. Palmer won 7 major championships and totaled 65 wins on tour, while Player won 9 majors and was the first and so far only international player to complete the career Grand Slam, and Nicklaus went on to win a record 18 majors and the career Grand Slam 3 times over. Oh, and if the Players ever becomes a major, which I sincerely doubt, then Jack will be just fine, since he has the most wins at the Players' Championship too. Honestly, we don't even need to get into the next group of greats, since Jack beat up on the next 2 generations of golfers, but just know that Nicklaus beat Faldo, Seve, and Watson in majors on all of these occasions, and won a total of 9 majors with at least one of them in the field, Tom Watson being present for 8 of the 9 major wins. And I won't even get into what Watson did in the 2009 Open Championship, but I recommend the lads over at Golf Digest give it a Google. Moving on. The year was 1998, and Tiger Woods is the defending Masters champion after destroying the field with a record 12-stroke victory in 1997. And what does Jack do in response? Nicklaus waxes Tiger Woods at the age of 58. Not for a round, not before the weekend, for the whole tournament. Swing changes, right? Wrong. Nicklaus beat all 10 of the best players in the world over the course of that 4-day tournament. You cannot tell me that Nicklaus was just out there beating up on 19th hole alkies his whole career when this man comes out at 58 and beats the undisputed best golfer of my generation along with the other 10 best players in the world. It's clear, the best players were just as good and adaptable back in the day as they are today, and it's proving true again. Tiger winning the 2019 Masters after all those surgeries and a spinal fusion is proof of that. And if you think Tiger doesn't count because, well, he's just different, then look at Phil's goofy grin. Mickelson has 6 majors and is now the oldest major champion ever after winning the PGA in 2021. Yet, Grandpa Jack was able to hand him consistent L's. Jack beat Phil so often that their matchup was nearly a coin flip in Phil's first 21 majors. Jack was the real deal, and so were his contemporaries, and so were those before him. So there you have it, a 100-year sample size of the best players proving they can adapt and compete with the next generation of players. We may never know who the GOAT is, but it's clear. Greatness translates. It always has, and it always will. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. It's like fixing a divot. It's poor form not to.